Joining us now to discuss all things Trump administration is conservative radio host Rose Tennent. So Rose, what happens between now and November to me is very important because it seems to be what the administration is focusing on going into the campaign. Do you think that foreign policy, such as what's happening right now with the Taliban, will be a major issue come 2020?
Well, you know what? I think that right now, this country and its citizens are pretty much inward looking. I mean, the economy is doing so well. People have jobs. Family members are working. Perhaps they weren't working before. A lot of blue-collar workers, and I talked to a lot of them in Pennsylvania and around the country because I do a lot of work with Women for Trump. And I'm hearing that they are so happy to see that some of the jobs that have been taken away from them in the past are now returning. So when we talk about foreign policy, I mean, yeah, we had NATO pay up and we're talking about the Taliban right now, but I think people, for the most part, are inward looking. They're thinking they're doing a lot better. Their family members are doing better. Women are doing better. Youth are doing better. Minorities are doing so much better in this economy. It's almost like we've created an economy that Reagan would create if he were on steroids. I mean, that's how well we're doing. So I do think that foreign policy plays a big part in things, but right now I think that a bigger part of our focus as citizens of this country has been inward, and we're looking at how well we're doing as a country.
And I actually think that this latest development kind of builds on the point that you're making right now, because a lot of Americans want the troops back home. They don't want to be spending trillions of dollars as we have been in Afghanistan and in Iraq as well. We don't want any other foreign type of conflicts overseas, especially in the Middle East. And it kind of builds into that populist type of mindset that I think is sweeping not only the United States right now, but the entire world. I mean, we can see it in Brazil. We saw it in Brexit. We saw it in the most recent European the divorce, of course, the elections there as well. So acknowledging that point, you say that you do a lot of work. I know in Pennsylvania, I've seen the extensive coverage that you've had there. But what is going to be the big type of topics that will make a difference to voters, I should say, in states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, states that you need to win in 2020?
You know, really, it comes down to jobs and prosperity. I mean, when you look at what the Democrats have to offer, I mean, really, Alex, basically they're saying to us, we want to save you from prosperity. And I think the American people are on to the Democrats right now. Even the moderates aren't offering anything that the voter can really embrace. And so what we're seeing now are people that are prospering, they're happy that their families are working, and the economy, and especially in Pennsylvania, we talk about the industries of the coal industry and the gas industry and manufacturing jobs. You know what, Alex, the other day I was at a gun shop and a man came up to me and he said, you know what? We started talking about guns and then we got onto politics. And he said, I work for a plastic manufacturing firm. He said, and I'm part of the union. He said, but I got to tell you something. Typically, Alex, you and I know that union workers pretty much vote Democratic line. But he was telling me that he is voting for the first time for President Trump. And when we went further into the conversation, I discovered that he didn't really care what the president was saying. And I don't mean just tweets. I mean overall. What he wanted to see were real results. And he feels that over the last 3 years, he has seen real results. So regardless of what the president promises, what he says, how he tweets, all he really cares about, and most of us really do, it comes down to this fundamental issue, are results. And we have seen results with this administration.
And it's such an important point, too, that the average person, the average worker, doesn't care about the type of conversations that we have a lot of times in Washington. I mean, they don't care about the partisan bickering or anything like that. They want those dinner table type of issues, the things that put money in their wallets and the things that make their families safer. And really, that's what they're really looking out for when they go to the polls. So you bring up Pennsylvania, and I think it's an interesting point, too, because Joe Biden says that he'll do very well there. A lot of these moderates say that they'll do very well in these states as well. But then you look at polls and you actually see someone maybe like more progressive like Bernie Sanders doing better in states such as Michigan, Wisconsin as well. So it kind of puts an end, or at least challenges what they're saying there. So who do you think poses a bigger threat to President Trump in those Beltway type of states, a more progressive or a more moderate candidate?
You might think I would say a moderate would do better up against Trump in those states. But quite frankly, like I said before, the moderates really don't have anything to offer the voters, even the Democratic voters in some of those states. I can speak well for Pennsylvania, and they really are embracing, look, these are hardworking blue-collar workers, a lot of them, and they recognize what's happening in this country. They are fatigued, and you're right, when you talk about, you know, you're in that bubble in D.C., and you want to bring Russia up again because now we're hearing about Russia.
Right.
These people are not going to have any of it. They are Russia fatigued. They are impeachment fatigued. They care about what's in their wallet. They care about the results that they're seeing. So honestly, I'm going to say something here, and I said it before at the 2016 election. I believe a lot of Democrats in Pennsylvania, and I have anecdotal evidence, and it's proven to be correct in the past, a lot of Democrats will be voting for President Trump.
No, I think you might be onto something, too, because, I mean, you can even think back to when impeachment was going on. Americans don't care about the Ukraine scandal necessarily. And during that same time period, the USMCA was pushed down the road. And that's something that they actually do care about, especially voters in Pennsylvania. So I think the Democrats really have an uphill battle as far as making their case, especially when it comes to the economy. But Rose Tennent, thank you very much for joining us tonight.